When your site is ready to go live, you're going to need to start thinking about a host provider for your site on the internet, an FTP program to put your site there, and probably a domain name so that your site has a nice, easy to remember and type name. Let's go over each one of those aspects and see what we'll need to do. First of all, for a host provider, we simply need some place to put our site that's accessible on the internet. You could host your own web server. Of course, you'd need a computer with server software installed, and you would need a direct IP connection to the internet with your own IP number that's fixed. Now, the bad thing about doing it yourself is that you'll be in charge of all the security for your site and backups and uptime. That means if your computer goes down, you'll need to have some kind of redundant system to make sure that your website stays up. Of course, there's a lot of companies who will host your site for you for a monthly or annual fee. Basically, you want to look for a site that has good 24-hour support and a good continuous uptime record, as well as backups for your files. Of course, you'll want to make sure that the host provider can handle whatever volume of traffic you expect, and of course, you'll need to choose how much space you want and things like how many emails you'd like with your account as well. Once you've chosen a host provider and set up your account, you'll need to get your files uploaded, and you'll do that with an FTP program. I'll close up some of these files, and I've got a link in our Working File Chapter 10 folder to take us right to a program called FileZilla. Once again, I chose this one because it's free and because they have a client available for both Mac and the PC environments. Now, if you've chosen a host provider for your account, you can follow along and use your own passwords and logon information. But if you haven't chosen a host provider yet, you might just want to watch this segment of the video just to see how it all works. I've already downloaded and installed FileZilla, and I've got an icon right over here on the desktop. So to get things started, I'll just open up that application. Most other FTP programs that you might choose will look a lot like this one. You can see here we have a panel on the left for our local version of our files, and a panel on the right for the remote version. There's a quick connect bar right up at the top, but since we're probably going to be connecting up to our site quite often, I'm going to go up to File, and I'll use their Site Manager. Here you need to enter whatever information you got from your host provider. You'll enter the host address that they gave you to use. Then you'll go down and enter your username and password. We'll leave all the other settings at the defaults. This will all get saved into the new site file, so the next time you come back you won't have to enter it. And of course, we'll just click Connect. Once you're all connected up, you should see your remote server folder, which of course is empty since we haven't put anything there yet. Now on the local side, if you don't have your copy of the website project loaded here, just make sure to navigate to it, and then we have our local copy of our website on the left side, and a place for our remote copy of the website on the right. To actually upload a file to your website, just click on the file itself, and you can either right-click and choose Upload, or in the case of this FTP client, you can simply grab the file and drag it over to the right-hand side and it'll get copied. Once the copy is complete, we can see our files over there in the folder, and we can actually navigate to it out on the web. So I'll just open up Firefox, and then we can type in the address. Now the site that I'm using to host for my example file already has a domain attached to it. But normally with a brand new hosted site, you'll end up with an address that's supplied by your host, and it will generally have their name in it, not yours. It might be something like whatever the host domain is .com/your username, and then you'll be at the root level of your file, and you could type in the name of your file you're looking for. When you buy a domain, what you're buying is the name itself and the rights to use it. Generally, you want to pick something that represents your business name or whatever the website content is going to be about. You can purchase a domain name from any of the hundreds of authorized registrars, and a lot of times a host provider will also perform services as a registrar, just so they can set up the name for you and put it onto your site. It's not required to buy your domain from your host provider, but sometimes that can be a pretty good convenience. Since I already have a domain on the host account, I'll go ahead and use it, and it's my company's name, onthewave.com. I've loaded up a folder specifically for these files called HTML5 Essentials, and that's actually the root level of my site for this example. I can just leave the address at the root, since we're looking for the index page, or I can go ahead and type in the name of the page itself. And of course, when I hit enter, it goes ahead and loads my page up, and there we can see the first page of our website. Now it's not looking correct because we're not seeing our styles, and we can also see that all of our images are wrong. But that's because we've only loaded the page up onto our server. We haven't yet included any of the images in the image folder, nor have we included the CSS file. So as far as our browser is concerned, those two files are unavailable, and it just renders what it has, which is just the page content itself. So of course, we're going to need to go back to our FTP program and upload the other files. I'll grab the whole images folder, and we'll just drag it over to the remote side to copy that onto my server. And you can see that all of my images have now copied. I'll grab the CSS file, and we'll do the same with it. Notice when I'm copying things over to the remote server, I need to have the same structure so that all the links we've set up are still in the same correct places, and the browser will find them all. Now that we've got our images and our CSS loaded up here, we should be able to see the rest of the page. So I'll go back out to my browser, and we'll do a little refresh. And there we can see the site that we designed. All of our images are there, and the CSS is being rendered with my content now. Now, of course, we still have one thing that's not going to work. All of my links up here need to have the files associated with them loaded to the server as well. So we'll go back to our FTP program one more time, and I'm just going to bring in the rest of the files that we need. I'll start with the media folder that has all of our video files in it for the cable cars page. And then I'll go ahead and grab the rest of the pages for the site. You might notice a couple of extra things, like for instance, this .dsstore file is a file that my operating system puts in the folder, and we don't need that on our website, so I'll skip it. But I'll grab all of the other pages that we have down here, and I'll make sure to grab the Pier 39 page as well. One other page that I'm going to leave behind is the template HTML page, because that's never going to be viewed by our users. I only created that so that we could easily make new pages for the site. And since we don't need to see that out on the web, we won't put it up there. I'll grab all of these different pieces, we'll drag them on over, and when that copy's done, our website will be live and ready for customers to come start visiting. Of course, once you've set up your FTP program, you'll go back to it anytime you make changes to your local directory to add new designs or content to the site. When your changes are saved to the local version of the site, just grab them and drag them over to the remote version once you've logged in, and your changes will be live too.